Oh, okay. I've been chatting that with the Taylor. So one of the things I was thinking is that, okay, so the ResearchHub has this mission of trying to accelerate the scientific research. So I was thinking, what would be the bottleneck for me as a researcher, during scientific research? And one of the things I think is most prominent is that when I look at paper, usually there's a lot of like the paper is usually in published version is very polished, and then the figure is kind of like they're trying to control the aesthetics and then try to avoid all the technical details so as to distract the reader. But it turns out that like a lot of the paper contains the derivation, the theory details, the computational details, and also some of the language there that is kind of like it's not very accessible when I first read it, or it's not very like, sometimes I encounter a problem. I was like, okay, why the author doesn't do this? Why the author doesn't do that? But it won't be provided in the paper or anywhere on the internet, honestly. So I think one of the features that could be really useful to increase accessibility of a paper, which is kind of the core for any researcher to going forward, moving to a new field, is that what if there's kind of like a library to just documenting things that is not provided in traditional publishing giants. And that would include like, could you please let the author trying to provide, okay, how do you actually derive from equation that? So that's, this kind of missing points that is typically not included in the paper. So I think that is a general idea I was having. And I think that is kind of a unique feature in the scientific area, because there are literally no, public platform that can document all of this information. So I think for ResearchHub, that is also a unique opportunity because it is a new category of including this scientifically important but technically detailed knowledge for the newcomer, for reader that's not in the field or not in that research group that particularly work on the project. So I think that is that'll be very useful. And one other thing I was talking to Tyler is that this feature could also help to attract, like people that are seriously interested in science, not just crypto people. And I think this space is just filled a lot of not so serious people. The reason is that, so to get this information, for example, if you need a particular, let's say the theory part, you need a derivation of a particular equation. Either you can obtain that by emailing the author of the paper saying, okay, this is my problem, and then they can have the email reply. So you kind of have the exchange with lead author, and this information is kind of verified by the lead author. So you can try to post this information to ResearchHub, and then the lead author will also understand, oh, there is a platform to actually for me to document more technical stuff. Then it's also a very rewarding experience for both the lead author and also the person who asks the question, because they're not only benefiting themselves as they do this interaction, but also they're aware that, okay, this information probably will also help others that come to this paper later on, and they will also find an answer to it. Pretty much it's like, like there is, for any computer science question, programming question you encounter right now, today, you can probably just Google it and then find somewhere in the Stack Exchange or something. People already provided a lot of detailed guidance on how to solve this problem. But I think that kind of similar platform is what is lacking in the scientific field right now.
So it sounds like so mostly it's stemming from like the idea of having all this derivative information around the paper. That's really important, but there's no place to document it and then connect it to the main paper, right? So like these would technically be almost like attachments that you add on to the main paper that flush out like different details. I know DSci Labs is kind of doing something like this where they have the attachments. Pat, I noticed you unmiked earlier. Do you have some?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's a great idea. And I think like it wouldn't be too hard for us to build a feature set around that. Something that like, it makes me think of like the tangible like most, I think, impactful use case in my mind is open data. So, like just having another tab maybe that says like, hey, here's all of our data, and then making it easy for people to audit studies, open code too. I guess, like, do you have any other specific kind of like research outputs in mind? Like, is it more like editorial notes around the research process? Are you thinking like someone's actual lab notebook, like the details in there? Or is it like kind of a little bit more polished where it would be like sharing like supplementary methods or, like data or something like that?
I think this is where the editor can actually play a job at, play a role at, because there can be kind of upload this raw information in some sense, and then it's editor's job to actually polish it and then categorize this information, meaning label it. For example, this is about the data interpretation of that section, or what section, or this is about the derivation of some equation. For user side, it doesn't necessarily, this is just spitballing basically. I haven't flushed out think about the exact details of this feature. But I think editor can play an active role here to try to make this this documentation more interactive and also searchable, and also to just, I'm lots of word here, but to just categorize it easier for people to understand the trying to find the information they actually want to, instead of having the giant, the block. Okay, this is our data, but then, well, how do we interpret this data? Yeah, not sure if that makes sense.
I have one other question. I'm curious, like, if our notebook feature would be sufficient to do like a very low engineering kind of demo of the concept. Because in theory, like, you could add like additional context, in the form of like a blog style thing, and then post it under your paper. And then like the second part question I have is like, in your mind, like, what would the like UX and UI of this look like? Like, is it on the paper page, or like, how do you think like this would eventually be like displayed on the site?
I guess I think I don't want like a PDF just documenting everything, because then how do a user actually search the particular thing they want to understand? UI wise, I guess I feel like something it must be able to just partition the paper into several blocks. It's just about the equation part, it's just about the discussion part, it's just about the data interpretation, what figure. So that when user looking at the paper, okay, I don't understand this figure, and then I can go to ResearchHub, okay, and then I can direct it to, okay, this is a figure section, what's the discussion happening around here, and then they can point to that particular figure, and then have the see if there are any question about similar question on that topic.
I guess I'll share screen here really quick. Something this also reminds me of a little bit, and let me know if I'm off base here. But this is Open Science Framework. If you've ever used this tool, they're kind of like a more literal GitHub for scientific research, where people can upload like papers and files and stuff like this. And so they have open scientists who will share like additional context on their projects. So this is like raw data here. This is just one I found, but some people will like have like pre-registrations and like more like in-depth kind of, so background materials, methods. Is this kind of what you're thinking of, something similar to this?
Something like this, but how do you make this kind of searchable? Like, just when you have this you have a programming question, don't know how to use NumPy, this particular function, this kind of stuff.
Got it. So you want like a search interface that can then dig through everyone's kind of like extra information that they've uploaded around their project?
Yeah, it's just more easy for the user to find this information. I haven't used this what is it called, OSFO. I haven't used this website.
Yeah, they're really cool. I love Open Science Framework. They do a good job of like, providing the infrastructure for like sharing of scientific information, but I think they still kind of struggle with like the piece of it where the incentives don't click totally. Where the people who do share this are like very motivated by open science, and like they, are like the top 10% of like altruistic scientists typically. But they still haven't even, I think, like totally grown fully, because like even like Jeff and Ricardo and I are working with this like nonprofit that helps to share open data, and like it's tricky, because if I'm a PI and I share open data, I kind of just like open myself up to career risk without really getting anything back in return. And so these people struggle with sort of like keeping scientists engaged, like posting this stuff and maintaining it. And so like I do think like, I think like two pieces here. Like one is like the infrastructure, like OSF. And then the other piece is like, how do you make it make sense for everyone to do this? And so like, this is something I've actually been thinking about a lot, where maybe like eventually we get to the point where if a paper doesn't have open data uploaded, it gets like 1/20th of the research coin rewards or something like that. Like we like heavily incentivize content that's like fully communicated, and basically doesn't play the games that you were stating at the beginning, where they kind of try and like hide the ball from, you know, like people reading it. So yeah, does that make sense? Where it's like the hard piece here, I think, is like having it make sense to the author to spend extra time like creating content, uploading content, you know, where it may not necessarily direct into like career returns unless they're motivated by the inherent like sharing of science.
That is true. Like, if they just want to expose themselves, that's I guess it's the motivation to do that. You know, have themselves have the point of attack if they actually some people find the weakness in their data. I'm not sure how to motivate scientists to lead the author to actually publish the data. I was mostly thinking about in my time, I sometimes email the author, and then I do get some useful response. Those kind of information from the reader perspective could be uploaded without hurting the author, I think. And the motivation could be, you know, you have already got this information from the lead author. Why not just publish on somewhere? Could be more open to everyone.
Totally. And even we should really figure it out where like it's not a bad thing if somebody proves your theory wrong. You know what I mean? Like if somebody takes your data and like has another opinion that's better, it's like maybe you can make money there too. You know, so it's like a good thing for somebody to do that.
Yeah, it could be something like you can incentivize to open the data, but it's not mandatory. And if you open the data, there's some sort of incentive, I guess.
Yeah, I've had this experience as well, where like at least in biology, nobody describes their materials and methods in enough detail for you to like actually reproduce the thing with high fidelity. And so what you end up doing is like you go through materials and methods, they have like the broad strokes of how to do it. And then the problem is in biology, the devil's in the details. Even like the smallest like biological change skews your like results tremendously. Like I'm working with iPSCs and they're so sensitive, like little tidbits. Like I've actually emailed lead authors and they've said, oh, our experience has actually been these cells detach from the plate really easily. So you should consider doing this. We ended up doing that, but there was nowhere in their paper where they mentioned. And so I think what Jiaoshen is saying, which is if we can consolidate that information somewhere. But I think one way to even front run that is if we just change the way that the materials and methods is collected, at least if they're publishing natively on our platform. So if it's going through our platform, what we can have is like a very rigorous, full-fledged materials and methods. Or what you can do is have the abbreviated materials and methods and like a double click on that if you want to go through the full detailed one. Or have like an attachment on the side where it says like, you know, more details, and then people can like have a Q&A that was going on with the lead author. And maybe that shows up like on a sidebar where the paper is.
I think I completely agree with that. The only thing it becomes two separate things. One is to have this kind of extra information in the platform. The other thing is you have to incentivize the author to publish on ResearchHub, the platform, in order to utilize this kind of more expanded or more strict criteria on the clarity you have to present to your paper. But I think that part is what I have concern is there are so many giant publishers already, and academia people just really like their clout. So they, unless there's something their peer or the powerhouse in the academia field actually choose that platform, it's very hard to build from the ground up, I think.
Yeah.
We can do it as an overlay where we actually, if they publish it on Nature, we can just put it onto ResearchHub and then add that as an extra function where we can say, hey, are you the author? It's kind of what we're doing with Sage with the open data, which is they're having problems annotating, the authors annotating their data set. And so we want to try to put bounties on those to incentivize them to come back and annotate it. It's the same thing. We can have them come back and say, hey, we have $100 waiting for you if you give us a full detailed breakdown of your materials and methods. But we just import their paper from the journal that they published in.
I think from the beginning, I like this approach. It's more like we ancillary data or ancillary information to the big publishers.
Really nice thing that's happening is starting in 2026, all research funded by the U.S. government will be published openly licensed with openly licensed data as well. So like Jeff was saying, we can automatically pull that and make it really easy to like interact with, annotate, earn rewards for like interacting with. So that would be the idea, is hopefully like authors wouldn't even have to upload stuff. Like we could just pull it and then they would show up 3 months later and be like, oh, is this $1,500 waiting for me? That's pretty cool. I guess I'll answer these questions, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But I do think like just posting data should not be heavily incentivized. It's really have this kind of between researcher and reader, this discussion should be heavily incentivized to actually generate something that is not presented in other places.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a great idea. And I think like it's something that we're definitely thinking about. So when we get to this point, I'll definitely like add you to all the conversations, Jishan, if you'd like, when it comes to like uploading supplemental kind of like information, for lack of a better term, to papers.
Yeah, I'll be interested to be involved.
Cool. Nice. So if you want to talk about the peer review bounties.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just taking down notes so I can post it after this to everyone. Yeah, that was a good discussion. Yeah, so the next one, which is something that I think we need to like lean very heavily into, which is, so ResearchHub Foundation got this $2,500 Gitcoin grant a month or two ago. And we've converted that $2,500 to RSC to use for bounties for peer review on the platform. And we've put up about, I think 15 or so. We uploaded 15 preprints and put about $150 to $200, actually with Pat's bonus contributions. Some of them do have $200 on them now. So that's to incentivize peer review. And the idea here, and I think the big selling point is, one, that we're going to pay people to do peer review, and two, we're going to actually accelerate the pace of science by having a quick turnaround on somebody's preprint. So if you put your preprint out within, say, 2 weeks or 1 month or something like that, then we can advertise, hey, you're going to have a peer review on the other end of that. So to make that a reality, we are going to need to, I think, rally a bunch of people who are credible and actually have the means with which to do the peer review around some of that content so we can advertise it in the future. So I think one thing we need to press forward on here is having the current ResearchHub community, particularly the editors, because it's, I think, conventionally an editor's job to do, to go and find peer review and find the talent to do the peer review, have them come on board and get this done in like a very quick turnaround time. So we're just wondering what your guys' thoughts are on that and what the best execution plan is to make that happen.
I think it's probably the most important thing that we could do as a project. And so, I've thought about how we could do this a lot. Like I've got big spreadsheets full of reviewers, so I can share that with you guys just as like cold email targets. And yeah, I think like whatever, like we should figure out what's the repeatable process that works here, because this is, I think, how we find product market fit, pretty easily, is like if we can recruit peer reviewers well and get them paid.
Yeah, and I know like big time journals have like their own network of like peer reviewers that are in there. It's just getting like finding the right people that would be happy to do this little more progressive type of peer review. So yeah, that cold emailing is definitely a place to start, but I think also just our internal networks of people, I think, are a great place, because you can kind of just keep poking somebody, like, hey, come do the peer review. So I think that's another avenue we can go down.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good call. Yeah, so I guess, Jeff, is there any like action items or stuff that we can do? Like, what do you think we should do to get people riding around this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like we could definitely do a lot of cold emails from like the ResearchHub Foundation, like kind of official email. So I think that would feel a little professional, but also I think it's on like some of the current editors, but as well as some of the community members to reach out. I don't know, like if we should provide almost like a commission or something on whoever finds the peer reviewer, right? So we can like provide like a $20 to $50 reward if you find the right person. That could be good, but I think just kind of hand-to-hand combat this. Yeah, Malik.
Yeah, I was wondering like if it's okay to just post from your personal account that, hey, this is one, and like there is one paper on melanoma, I feel like, and if I put like #derm Twitter, #med Twitter, like come check out peer review and get paid or something like that, or that would be not kosher. Like, what do you guys think?
Totally worth it. I think very worth the experiment, and we'll get everybody to retweet and get some likes on it to make it look good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then at least the melanoma one, I can reach out to the derm community and see if somebody's interested. Yeah.
Honestly, it's going to be a great experiment, because I feel like, if you get 200 people to look at that tweet, like one of them should want to earn some cash, do a peer review. So that's super interesting.
Yeah, I think those look good too, and like a lot more organic coming from like individual personal accounts versus like big like email from like ResearchHub Foundation. One thing was I put up this like the preprint around the LK99 that like a lot of the ResearchHub community like liked and retweeted under one of the posts from somebody, and I looked at the metrics under that, and it got over 100 clicks to that actual paper on ResearchHub, and that was just like one tweet under like a popular person's like post. So yeah, those can go like a really long way. And I think it also helps if you're Twitter verified or X verified. I don't want to speak about the vestigial name, but yeah, so I think those can go a long way if you want to go about it that way. Yeah, Sikandar?
Yes, I think this could be an easy and organic, because I have like some personal experience whenever Johnny posted just a single comment on the Haberman Twitter. So whenever we just put a single comment or summary, so we got, I think, like 3 to 4 followers increase. I think this could be a good approach. After that, I think if it did not work, so then we can go like to emails using ResearchHub Foundations.
Okay, so sequential. So try to do the organic online and see if we get any hits. Yeah. And if we don't, then go into like cold blast emails.
Yeah, perfect. I think this could be good. Because this will, by using ResearchHub Foundation, it will just like put, I think, newcomers to the ResearchHub. But by using social media platforms, this will also increase the traffic on our social media handles.
Jeff, we can even ping James Heathers and ask him to amplify a tweet. Like if there are a couple, like I'm sure we could get him to be like, oh, this is cool, check it out, and maybe let's get maybe a review.
Yeah, maybe like if we have something that's worthwhile to retweet, we'll definitely. Yeah, thank
Can
you.
I ask a separate question?
Yeah.
What would be the metric to evaluate if this is a useful experiment or no?
So it would probably be to have we'd have to tag the Twitter posts to see if it's going to get routed from, if a user gets routed from Twitter onto the platform and completes that peer review. There's only 15 of them, so we could actually almost just directly reach out to those reviewers and just say, hey, how did you come and find us? And if most of them say Twitter, then that'd be pretty easy.
Wait, so is the goal of this experiment to try to see if we can get people onto ResearchHub, or is there something different about this peer review?
So the goal for the peer review is like I think the real big premise here is like a big marketing thing to say on ResearchHub, we can give you a quick turnaround on your peer review, and we're going to pay the peer reviewer for their work. So really it's to market those two things out.
But the economic things wise, you can pay all the peer reviewer, right? You can't pay them continuously. I guess what I want to say. You can only have this limited set of papers saying, okay, we're just selecting this 15.
So we can set up the reward algorithm in order to have like peer review bounties go to the most popular preprints. So that could just be part of the reward algorithm. Is like you show up to ResearchHub and there's always a preprint there for you to share a peer review on, you know, if you want to share a quality one, and it'll be like, I guess like curated based on crowd votes. So hopefully like the most popular preprints in a field would have the highest bounties on them, and then down, down, down.
So the decision, okay, so the decision for what peer review go acquire that bounty depends on votes or something else.
A future state curation mechanism. This is like a test to see if we can recruit peer reviewers with, you know, research coin bounties. And if there's success, then like we've been thinking a lot about how to kind of change our product a little bit, where we become more of like a overlay journal for preprints, where the most popular ones receive free peer review.
I see. Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that's going to be also showing like a track record of success if something is peer reviewed from ResearchHub. So if peer reviewed from ResearchHub, they end up in these journals at the end of the day, and they also end up with X amount of impact or X amount of citations, which is like obviously not something that we want to push ourselves, but if people are going to publish and it's going to improve their current kind of traditional, you know, paradigm, then I think we should also advertise it as such if that's the case. So we'd have to do a little bit of like data analytics around the preprints that would get peer reviewed on ResearchHub and where they end up in a future state.
I do like this. In the future, there could be this kind of testimony. You know, if you get to ResearchHub peer review, you get a lot more critical perspective on your paper, and then you can probably get to a higher journal. That would be very nice.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
needs to be something in it for the author, you know.
Yeah.
Jishan, can I bounce an idea off you? Something that we're thinking of. We're building this reference manager feature where the idea is like a free tool where you can, you know, upload, annotate, write your own papers. One of the things that we think this could end up being is basically like an automated editor, where if Jeff shares a preprint about like glial cells, you know, in patients with HIV, then basically a bounty would be assigned to it if it's a popular one. And then we read through everybody's reference manager data, and we, you know, find the exact perfect person who's like, you know, reading Jeff's expertise and has experience in this preprint, and we offer them the bounty. So basically automating the process of like recruiting peer reviewers by just, you open up your reference manager and there's a ping, here's $400 to review this thing that's in your field of expertise.
Interesting. So this is like getting the reviewer that is more fit to your particular paper time.
Mm-hmm.
With, yeah. Okay.
And then the reference manager
I guess if that is effective, journal would be very happy to take it. Lots of journal. Yeah.
Cool. If you're interested, I'd love to sign you up for the like alpha test of the reference manager to click around with it.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I guess I don't know. It's always something like a black box to me. It's like, how do you know this paper has this particular feature set? And then there is a matching reviewer. You kind of compute a score. Okay, say this is the best match. This reviewer should go to this paper. That is more that provides more useful feedback towards the other. But if you can do that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, there's ways people are trying to do it now. Basically, OpenAlex automatically assigns these things called concept tags to every paper as they're published. So it's like a machine learning algorithm that reads through the paper and tries to like assign, what field it's talking about. And I think basically these like kind of like automated classification tools are going to get really good like over the next couple of years. So
interesting.
Yeah, shared screen right now, just as an example. They have like a GUI interface that they just added not too long ago, but you can see here that there's like numbers from 0, 1, let's see, mostly zeros and ones for you, but some of them go down to like 0, 1, 2, and 3, and it just goes to deeper, the higher the number, the more granular it is in that field. Yeah, so I don't know, there's a lot of people with similar names as well too, so that also doesn't help, but yeah, so that's kind of how it would probably work through like a tagging.
Would this be also combined with, I don't know how long was the timeline for this feature, but it seems like it can be combined with rallying people with a bounty peer review project that Jeff mentioned earlier, right? If you can, you don't have to mass email, you basically, okay, if I don't know how this works, it seems like you can pull the data from the internet that people, whoever is in a Google Scholar or what, and then trying to get their profile and then directly send them, okay, you should be able to review this paper, and then we have offered peer review bounty.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we could do that, like just like cold email, like highly targeted cold emails, and that's actually a pretty good idea. That's something we could definitely do regardless. But kind of what we're thinking is like the value prop of a free reference manager that has funding opportunities within it, like that, range from small bounties to hopefully eventually like grants and stuff is, I feel like that's pretty compelling. Like if you use this reference manager, you might get some funding. So yeah, I think it would be easier if we had people within our system, and they're used to the idea of earning. So that way when we ping them, it's like a high likelihood that they'll do it.
Yeah, I see that. Wait, how does the reference manager can get the peer review funding? Sorry, just funding?
We would use it as like basically like highly targeted advertising. Like, whenever you use Instagram or Facebook, they're like collecting infinite data about you in order to target ads at you. We would do the same thing just based on your academic interactions and then target funding opportunities at you. So not like, like Zymogen, reagents, we wouldn't do that, but we would do like CZI has X funding for X project and you are the perfect fit. Like,
I see. Okay. It's like pulling the opportunity and then matching with the end user of the, okay.
Totally. Cool.
Yeah, Malik, you want to jump in?
Yeah, going back to trying to find reviewers, like, there is another, I think I mentioned last time, this organization called ASAP Bio. And they are like, on my Twitter feed, I get like, oh, this is our new fellow who's going to be doing peer review. And like, so like, I wonder how they are, catching so much, like so many researchers. And if we can implement that way where, and then looking at the bios of those fellows, looks like they are like early on in their career rather than like really, really big shots. And I wonder if we can, recruit in such a way by, as just like we had recruited editors, like about a couple years ago, like how I joined, and I wonder if we can recruit that way by like I don't know, a tweet by you or Brian or somebody,
we have that sitting in the chamber waiting to go once we have the product to the point, once we've done some experiments, and that's 100% how we can open up gates.
Yeah, I think for now it's going to probably be more like hand-to-hand combat, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, hopefully like a much more scaled up, easier blast when the time is right.
That's basically, we're trying to figure out the process here, get product feedback, see if we need to change anything on the product. And then once that's ready to go, we'll try and like go crazy with it.
Yeah, anything else as it pertains to like the peer reviews where you guys think we're like missing the ball on something, or we're like spot on, we just need to do more marketing? Like in my opinion, I think that's the case. It's like we just need to do more marketing of the thing that we have and the thing that we're offering. The only hurdle I could think is like maybe a little explainer on ResearchCoin actually being financial, like economic value, not just like some kind of points. But other than that, I think it's just a marketing step.
I agree. It's mainly marketing, because I mean, it is hard to find peer reviewer, believe it or not. Like journals are like emailing every day pretty much to find out like, oh, are you willing to review this paper or not? And like like reviewers are rejecting you. You hear the complaints. So like if we're paying them, I think it's just that we got to market it enough, and just so that they know that, hey, our cause is genuine. We're not like some predatory journal trying to like do some shady stuff or anything. So yeah, I think we're spot on. It's just the marketing at this point.
Can I ask you guys a question? Something I've been thinking about a lot. During this thing last week, we had the founder of Course Hero was there, and he was like talking about like getting into academia, and it was enlightening. Like it sounded like a really long journey. But one thing they figured out, they were basically at first like a website to host notes. So like if I'm, doing Orgo Chem 101, I can go read, some Princeton guy's notes and hopefully learn from it, and then, influence my own work. And so they said they started to take off when they did this give to get model, where you either had to pay $5.99 to see everybody's notes, or you had to upload your own notes, and then you could see everything for free. And so like I've been thinking a little bit about that, where like I don't like paywalls in general, so wouldn't want to do paywalls, but like the idea of, say I put a peer review bounty on a preprint that's in Jeff's field, Jeff earns the bounty. Another thing we could do is like create in-app RSC that can only be used for other peer review bounties. And so maybe Jeff gets RSC and also an in-app peer review bounty credit, where you can now, put that on anything else you want. But like, so some kind of thing where it's like you want to like bring in someone else, once you've completed the thing, and keep that kind of like viral loop going.
Are you talking about co-reviewer thing? Like when you do a peer review, you can also recruit co-reviewer, and that will also credit them?
Yeah.
Or it's something different?
Basically, like you would earn the value, which you could, sell if you wanted to, and then you would also earn an equivalent number of RSC to put on another peer review bounty, maybe for a future like publication that you share, or someone that you care about and want to help out, or maybe you're skeptical about something, you just get like a freebie, that you can put on stuff.
I think one thing that I worry about is like with some of those things is just it getting gamed in some way too, right? Like, because like if you have like in-app credit, like okay, I'll put up a bounty on a peer review for this thing. Oh, okay, my friend just puts out a really sub-quality peer review, and then boom, now they have like some RSC that they can come out with. So, yeah, that's one thing that I think there's like just generally, I think there's like a step of like before upstream of all this of like a really thorough, robust verification step of users. But I think if that's in place, then it's not a bad idea to have like that in-app function.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's like partly where the reference manager helps, because we can say like, upload all of your like previous like, library, and is this you? Now we know who you are, what your background is, like, are you eligible for peer review? Cool. Yeah, I guess anything else you guys want to chat about?
Yeah, that's all we had on the agenda really, and I think that's like the main place we want to put the time into, which is like the peer reviews. The other one is SciCon. We're gonna start really like marketing that a lot more this like really soon. We've got a few speakers in house, like Illicit is on board.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then hopefully some of the people as it pertains to either Society or it'll be eLife. So with that, like some DSci people, like a molecule panel and stuff like that. So those are really kind of the two big things up in the next like month or so.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
I had another like a side thing that I was thinking of, and I think last meeting when it was just me, Tyler, and I think one of the presenters, I mentioned that if we can get like even like just like comments, suggestions from some biotechs and pharma about how we are contributing to science, and if they can give us like just come to our website, just see it, how would we be? And I was thinking of something like New Limit, which is another company that Brian has, and there are like some top-notch researchers there. Like, not that I'm saying that they just start putting everything on our website, but at least come to our website and give us like, hey, this is what is working, this is not, this is what we would like to see, that then we would use it, or something like that. I'm just wondering.
Totally. Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, because when I spent time in California, like most of the companies were kind of like hard sciences, like deep tech. So it would be like people, sending rocket ships to space, or like pharmaceuticals or something like that, not necessarily software. And so these were like, they're startups who were hustling and trying to get funding, and so like they were like creating content. This one guy is doing a psychedelic where there's no like mental component. It's just an anti-inflammatory. And so he's like interested in getting people interested in like the science of like anti-inflammatory psychedelics, I guess. And so the incentives are there, where like if we could figure out how to help them get in contact with like crypto folks, like if there's a way to facilitate that, like I think the incentives are very high for like a biotech founder to be posting and building an audience. Even I think the reference manager is perfect for this, because if we have like a following feature, like people do that on Twitter now, right? It's like, hey, build your audience and then build the company. And so like if you're just like the best like summarizer of psychedelic research and you're on top of everything that's new, like you would build an audience of money people who are interested in that. So yeah, I think the reference manager is going to be a huge unlock for all of this. But yeah, I totally agree, Malik. And I think part of me thinks like that's the absolute last pivot, because I feel like that would definitely work, or at least we could show some solid growth, just being every biotech founder, get out here and show your stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, in addition to this, I think we discussed it in last meeting with Taylor. We are at the moment just utilizing one social media platform, which is Twitter. And I think if we want more followers or more like newcomers on the ResearchHub, so I think we must have to expand this circle. And I think the next target must be LinkedIn. Maybe what's your suggestions?
Agree. Yeah, LinkedIn is huge. Actually, I was very surprised to find that Dr. Huberman has a lot more impressions and activity on his LinkedIn posts than he does the Twitter posts. So that kind of gives you a little insight onto, I think, the demographic or the types of people that are like following along in some of this like deeper science stuff. So I'm with you, Sikandar. I think LinkedIn is something we probably need to like press forward a little bit more on.
Yeah, because I think like Twitter nowadays there is like some much controversies because people say there are much more fake accounts than real. But if you go to LinkedIn, I think there is like 95% real accounts, and most of them are like professional persons, and most of them are like linked to industries or like some top-notch researchers worldwide. So I think if we just utilize LinkedIn with our Twitter, so maybe like I am like 95% sure that it will bring much more followers, and that followers will be like much more professional. Not they will not be like just graduates. They will must be like some researchers or some PhD students.
It's a really smart idea. It's super duper smart because that's, it's like we want the early career researchers who are looking for earning opportunities, and like they'd be doing that on LinkedIn. So it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, because I think like we have to utilize this opportunity, because if I just compared it with USD and RSC, so I think from the last 2 weeks the RSC just like got some up, and I think we have must like target this, that the RSC is just going up, and you can earn a handsome if you are like a researcher or a science lover, and this you can utilize this your potential science lover, because none of other I think like platform is offering such a handsome amount as at the moment ResearchHub is offering. Just like you can comment, you can just contribute to the scientific community, just not like if you are have some personal papers, not this is like not a requirement, but if you like comment, if you like some peer review, so I think you can earn a handsome amount. So if you target just this a little, it will also be good.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Something, and this is harder, but like one piece of it that's tricky is official communications have to be very conservative around the token, and so it's like tough to like talk about like earning opportunities, when it comes to like research coin rewards in an official like context. But the community, can do that. And like one thing that I think would be really, really, really compelling, and this is a lot of work, so take it for what it is. But like personal anecdotes. So like individuals, from ResearchHub doing like a tweet storm or a blog, being like, here's my experience, here's what I gained value from, here's what I'm excited for. You know what I mean? And I think that's pretty compelling. If you're like, oh, hey, I earned, $200 for this peer review. It was pretty cool. Like I could definitely do this every Sunday, moving forward. Like, here's the things I like about it. Here's what I don't like. And I think that type of content is very compelling to people. And it just comes off infinitely better than the company trying to be like, hey, earn our tokens, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think this will, yeah.
We can do bounties for that too. We should set up bounties if people want to write like testimonials for why they like it. It's like their time should be compensated for it. So
That's a good point. D-work. We can put up some like D-work bounties around putting up tweet storms.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, just tweet storms in general and blogs and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Yeah. Any other like topics anyone wants to throw into the mix here? Otherwise, we can call it a few minutes early.
So I have like one thing that I can't totally wrap my head around, where like this LK99 thing, like it was basically like what everybody was paying attention to, in the entire world. And like at least the way that I consumed the content, ResearchHub wasn't like totally set up for it. It was like videos, basically, you know what I mean? And like some tweet storms in between, but like it was a lot of like video content. And yeah, like ours is paper-based now. One idea that we're thinking of is like potentially making the reference manager a publication tool. So if you wanted to publish a data set, it's just drag or drop to the reference manager. You've got a video, drag and drop, and then all of your followers can see it or whatever. So yeah, how do we like work with the excitement of social media stuff, which I think is visual largely, right? And then like the rigorousness of science, because I'm not even 100% sure if like a lot of the hype around the LK99 stuff was like it was almost just like standard social media. Like, was it even that valuable? As good as like SciCon, but like how do we turn it up a gear, rigorousness?
I think this might go back to what Joshan was talking about, which was having like these attachments be put on to like the main course. Like these are these like kind of peripheral things. And one of those peripheral things could be like an attachment of a video for something. Because like if you think about it, like, okay, you have the LK99 preprint. That's like the big node in the middle. And then you have like people coming in and like throwing on videos, or some people like giving you like, even like Krishna gave some like really good commentary on it, which we do have. We have an inline comment, but then like having an attachment of a video and like a few peripheral things that go onto that. I think that's the right way to do it rather than like standalone things.
I was even thinking though, like, and we'd have to talk to them, but the motivation of the content creators who were doing it, like, why are they doing that? Are they doing it for like, I'm trying to add knowledge to the world? Are they trying to build a following? You know, like, would they want to comment under somebody else's thing? Or like, in my mind, it would make sense to do your own publication with your video in it. You know what I mean? And then like, what does that look like? Yeah, their motivations I'm unsure of, and I feel like are probably like self-motivated. You know what I mean?
I think it starts off self-motivated, and then it's like, I think they just have a lot of fun with it. Like it's a lot of fun to have a bunch of people like commenting and liking under your posts, you know, and like engaging with people. Like it's just fun, you know, and that's tough because that's like a network effect. So it's hard to be like, oh, let's just get a network effect. But yeah, Malik.
Yeah, it's fun, but also like I guess once you have a little bit of following on Twitter, like it opens other avenues for you. Like if you're starting a company or something, then it's easy advertisement for you. And now with you know, they're saying that you can earn on Twitter for the advertisements. Like I have a couple friends in India who basically just set out like getting a following on Twitter. Like they would post like inspirational stuff or other stuff. And once they have that, they start a company that you just all of a sudden have free advertising for 10,000 people who are your followers. So it has financial incentive, but I also agree with what Jeffrey said that people just like to have fun, interesting discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
almost.
And somehow if we tap into that, hey, like, you know, you can have fun and have a financial incentive that ResearchHub actually is providing, then, you know, I think we can get more
And
people.
realistically, like all the people watching, they can fund this stuff. You know, like the cat girl in Russia can be like, hey, I need $50,000 to do this thing. Let's get some likes over here. You know what I mean? Here's my first step. Like, yeah, it's super interesting. Like, I think there's obviously a huge lesson from the last week that like we gotta figure out how to be that place for. It's cool though. Like honestly, this is the most excited I've been for this project the entire time because it's like, what the like everybody on Twitter was talking about science, you know, and yeah, it's just crazy. Like,
Yeah, hard science too. It's not even like some kind of like BS science. It's like kind of deep like physics, engineering stuff. So yeah, it's really cool, and it really, like, I think in my opinion validated like the need for a platform like ResearchHub, where everyone's like, oh, oh, is this replicating? Oh, it's not. Some people said yes, some people said no, and then it's like, well, no one's posting like the raw data or their open data or their lab notebooks. Like they're posting videos, but no one's posting anything that has any kind of like science, you know, tooling involved in it or anything like that. So I think, yeah, I was really excited to see that.
totally. And then this is a, you know, longer discussion for another day, but like manifold markets having a little bit of a moment in the sun, huh? Like that's kind of cool. Like you financialize some things, and I think it's funny where, yeah, just people referred to that a lot. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, Polymarket too had a field day on some of the prediction markets. I really do think if there's volume behind it, I don't think you'll see this mostly, 'cause usually they're really low volume. But if you have enough volume on it, I really think like prediction markets that take fees off of people and put them towards funding the actual replication could be so cool. Like it just gamble, like people who are like kind of gambly, like funding a replication study for something, like, and it just goes to like, you can just outsource that to like a CRO to do the experiment. Like that'd be pretty sweet.
Have you read that Starslate Codex blog?
You mentioned it a few times. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. He describes that basically. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
But yeah, yeah. Cool, guys. Yeah, I guess anything else? Thanks for joining. It was a blast seeing everybody.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank you.
it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's recruit some peer reviewers. Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys. See ya.
Yeah, no, bye.